It's got the glitz, it's got the glamour, and it's got the gambling and the gluttony too. Yes, there's no place quite like Las Vegas, a city where anything can happen. And nobody exemplified that quite like the newly formed Golden Knights, who in their unforgettable first season of existence redefined the standard of excellence for expansion teams, helped the city process an unimaginable tragedy, and reshaped Las Vegas' relationship with professional sports. In the not-too-distant past, Las Vegas, the cradle of American debauchery and the mecca of legalized gambling, was a no-fly zone for major professional sports. Major pro sports leagues were uncomfortable setting up shop in a locale defined by gambling, and prospective owners were unconvinced that Vegas could even support a major franchise, given the size of its market and its endless array of other entertainment options, which, as it happens, even periodically included semi-pro and minor league hockey. However, by the early 1990s, the NHL started laying groundwork in Sin City, first with a monumental exhibition game outside Caesar's Palace in 1991, the first outdoor game in league history. It was a smash success, with more than 13,000 fans showing up to watch the LA Kings defeat the New York Rangers, and it only reinforced the idea that NHL hockey might actually be able to thrive in Vegas. By the late 90s, the league started hosting exhibition games in Vegas annually, creating the Frozen Fury preseason series that pitted the Kings and Colorado Avalanche against one another year after year. And ultimately, a quarter century after that first exhibition game outside Caesar's Palace, as attitudes and restrictions on sports gambling relaxed, and pro sports leagues developed increasingly cozy relationships with gambling entities, the NHL became the first major pro sports league to establish a franchise in Vegas. In June of 2016, 12 months after the league started formally accepting bids for expansion, the NHL's Board of Governors voted unanimously to make Vegas home to the league's 31st franchise, awarding the team to billionaire businessman Bill Foley for a franchise fee of $500 million. The nascent franchise, which had already received more than 14,000 deposits for season tickets, would make its home at the newly constructed T-Mobile Arena, located just west of the iconic Las Vegas Strip, with their inaugural season set for 2017-2018. As for their name, well, that took a while to materialize, and the franchise remained unnamed as Foley put together his hockey operations team, which started with hiring George McPhee as general manager. Finally, though, after 5 months of speculation, Foley decided on a name for his team. They'd be called the Vegas Golden Knights, a nod to Nevada being the country's biggest gold producer. And he consciously opted for Vegas over Las Vegas because, well, only tourists refer to it as Las Vegas. To the locals, it's Vegas. And with the name settled on, the locals and the rest of the hockey world immediately shifted their focus to the one major outstanding question: who was going to populate the Golden Knights roster? That, of course, was to be determined by an expansion draft, the 12th expansion draft in league history. However, unlike the NHL's previous expansion draft, in which the newly formed Minnesota Wild and Columbus Blue Jackets competed for the top talent available, the Golden Knights would be the lone team selecting, taking one player from each of the league's 30 other teams. That said, as is typical of expansion drafts, there wasn't much impact talent for the taking. Even though the NHL reduced from previous expansion drafts the number of players each team could protect, the draft board was still overwhelmingly filled with cast-offs, has-beens, and never-wasn's. And as much as McPhee and his team scouted and wheeled and dealed leading up to the June 2017 draft, when the results of the expansion draft were announced at the league's annual award show, the Golden Knights roster was predictably underwhelming. Their biggest gets? Jonathan Marchessault, who had one full NHL season under his belt, a 29-year-old David Perron, a 30-year-old James Neal, a 33-year-old Marc-Andre Fleury, hardly the core of a Stanley Cup contender. And although short-term suffering was part of the franchise's strategy going in, with McPhee reaching agreements not to draft certain unprotected players in exchange for future draft picks or prospects, or agreeing to take on bad contracts in exchange for future assets, the first chapter in Golden Knights history seemed destined to be brutal. As it happens, Foley had promised a Stanley Cup championship within 6 years of the franchise's inception, but given the realities of their roster, the Golden Knights had seemingly no chance of fulfilling their owner's promise in year one. Like most expansion teams, the Golden Knights were widely projected to end up in the Western Conference basement in 2017-2018. And when the preseason got underway, no team had longer Stanley Cup odds than Vegas, whom the local intelligentsia had pegged as a 200-1 shot. Still, the team's bleak outlook couldn't diminish the excitement percolating in Vegas and beyond, as fans throughout the western United States found themselves enchanted by the Golden Knights. However, less than a week out from the regular season opener, an unthinkable tragedy cast a profound pall over Vegas and its fledgling hockey team.
We got shots fired, 4:15 ASF. Route 91, sounded like an automatic firearm. Coming from upstairs in Mandalay Bay. Upstairs in Mandalay Bay, halfway up.
Shots fired from Mandalay Bay. There's many people down.
It's the deadliest mass shooting in modern United States history.
On October 1st, 2017, a gunman opened fire on concertgoers attending a music festival on the Las Vegas Strip, killing 58 people and wounding hundreds more in the deadliest mass shooting in American history. In the wake of such unthinkable devastation, the Golden Knights did what they could to help their new community heal. Team members visited with first responders and families of victims, and the team quickly became a beacon of support and a nightly distraction for a wounded city.
It's been really a roller coaster of emotion, obviously, this week, and I think what we hope to try to do a little bit tonight is to help people to heal a little bit.
In their inaugural season opener days later, the Golden Knights gave their city a reason to smile, besting the Dallas Stars on the road 2-1, with Neal lifting his team to victory with a pair of third-period goals. The following evening, Vegas improved to 2-0, downing the Arizona Coyotes in overtime. And when the undefeated Golden Knights returned to Vegas for their first ever home opener on October 10th, the mutual care and affection between the team and its city was laid bare. On a momentous night for the franchise, the pregame ceremonies at a packed T-Mobile Arena centered around healing, hope, and community, and were capped by an uplifting speech from Golden Knights defenseman and Las Vegas native Derek England.
To the families and friends of the victims, know that we'll do everything we can to help you and our city heal. We are Vegas strong.
That spirit and resolve didn't end at puck drop either, as the Golden Knights proceeded to trounce the Coyotes, exploding for 4 unanswered first-period goals en route to a 5-2 victory. At 3-0, Vegas' hot start was as inspiring as it was surprising. But as it turned out, the Golden Knights weren't going anywhere. Their expansion team handicap notwithstanding, Vegas continued to win. And win. And win. 9 games into the season, the Golden Knights were 8-1 and were tied for first in the NHL in goals against. By Christmas, Vegas sat atop the Western Conference at 23-9-2. Suddenly, these Golden Misfits, as they referred to themselves, were a force to be reckoned with. Somehow, practically everybody on the roster discovered a new gear in Vegas. Marchessault was putting up roughly a point per game. Perron, in his 11th NHL season, was more prolific than ever. Despite missing some time due to injury, Fleury, a 3-time Stanley Cup champion, was posting career bests in save percentage and goals against average. And William Karlsson, who had scored all of 6 goals in 81 games the season prior, was one of the league's leading goal scorers. It defied explanation. Ultimately, of the 22 skaters who dressed in at least 30 games for Vegas that season, 13 set new career highs in points. Before the calendar even flipped to March, the Golden Knights had cemented themselves as the greatest expansion team ever, setting new records for wins and points. Meanwhile, they were virtually unbeatable at home, where they never once played to less than a sellout crowd, and where the production value was very much befitting of a Las Vegas joint. For the season, in fact, T-Mobile Arena operated at 104% capacity, as Vegas couldn't get enough of its improbable juggernaut. Their outsized success compelled McPhee to pivot from his original plan and add at the trade deadline, acquiring forwards Thomas Tatar and Ryan Reeves. And it wasn't long before an even more formidable Golden Knights squad became the first NHL team in almost 30 years to earn a playoff spot in its inaugural season. Days later, on the same night they paid tribute to the 58 people killed in the October shooting by retiring the number 58, the Golden Knights clinched the Pacific Division title. And they'd only fortified their status as the greatest expansion team ever in the postseason. The Golden Knights didn't lose a game in their first round showdown against the Kings, sweeping their way into the second round thanks in large part to Fleury, who recorded a pair of shutouts in the series. Vegas' fourth-ranked offense then took center stage in the second round, tallying 22 goals over the course of a 6-game series victory over the San Jose Sharks. And in the Western Conference Finals against the Winnipeg Jets, the Golden Knights were unfazed after dropping the series opener, rattling off 4 straight wins to punch their ticket to the Stanley Cup Finals and become the first true expansion team in NHL history to make it to the big dance. Against all odds, this ragtag bunch, the 200-1 long shot, was 4 wins away from hockey immortality. Standing in their way, the Washington Capitals, a perennial contender captained by future Hall of Famer Alex Ovechkin. In other words, the antithesis of the Golden Knights. And in this proverbial David versus Goliath matchup, the plucky underdog drew first blood. In Game 1 at T-Mobile Arena, the Golden Knights erased deficits in the first and third periods en route to a wild 6-4 victory. That win, however, marked the pinnacle of Vegas' championship run. From that point onward, the favorites took control of the series. The Capitals escaped with a 3-2 win in Game 2, then cruised to victories in Games 3 and 4 in Washington before outlasting the Golden Knights in Game 5 back in Vegas to capture the first Stanley Cup title in franchise history. Still, while the Golden Knights fell short of realizing their highly unlikely championship dreams, their season was an unmitigated triumph, one that had a profound and lasting impact on the city of Las Vegas. Most importantly, that season played a significant role in helping the community process the immense grief of the shooting, and it can't be overstated how much the Golden Knights' improbable success helped mitigate the hurt of the Vegas community. As one Vegas resident told the New York Times in 2018, the team wrapped themselves around the town, and the town wrapped themselves around the team. Ultimately, that unforgettable, highly emotional season forged a profound bond between the franchise and its city. Today, Vegas is a hockey town. The Golden Knights, who have now made the playoffs in 5 of their first 6 seasons, have yet to have a non-COVID season with an average home game attendance below 18,000. The official seating capacity for a hockey game at T-Mobile Arena is 17,500. Meanwhile, in the half-decade since the Golden Knights first took the ice, youth hockey in Nevada has exploded. According to USA Hockey, in 2016-2017, less than 1,400 youngsters had registered to play across the state. By 2021-2022, that number had increased almost 300%. But the Golden Knights' success hasn't merely transformed Vegas into a hockey town. Their success established Vegas as a viable market for pro sports. Only 3 years after the Golden Knights arrived, Vegas got itself an NFL franchise as well, with the former Oakland Raiders relocating to Sin City. And it seems like it's only a matter of time before the other major leagues follow suit. This profound shift wouldn't have happened, however, without the Golden Knights, who defied expectations from the get-go and may one day go down as the most important and impactful expansion team in the history of sports. Thanks for watching. If you like this video and want to see more content like this, hit that subscribe button.